we saw Joel Embiid make his debut on Tuesday. It was a little rocky, but what do you expect? He missed 10 games. Embiid also said that he was trolling with never playing back-to-backs ever again, so that was kind of a good sign to hear him say that after the game. But after the game, many talking heads are very negative about his debut. Stephen A. Smith said he's concerned with Embiid. He looks slow to defend Cat, looks scared to attack. Bill Simmons said Embiid is in his Shaq Phoenix Suns era, alluding to him being washed. Quote, every time the game stopped, he was keeled over with both hands on his knees, like a 53-year-old guy playing pickup over Thanksgiving. It was pretty brutal. Chandler Parsons, on another note, said Embiid was not ready to play and was rushed back too soon. Quote, he's in pain. He's not running back. He's not sprinting. He's not changing directions. He's doing nothing that he was doing when he was the MVP. So this is a completely different player. He's not himself, which is why I feel for the guy. And I know him media-wise, he's getting scrutinized. I think this is going to get shut down here soon. They have to plan with going with Drummond, going with Yabusele. They have to go with these guys because I just don't see a world this season where Joel Embiid is back to himself without some sort of operation. So, guys, was his debut as bad as everyone's saying, or is this just usual rust?
Well, you want to go, Teja?
Sure. Man. First, let me just say, I looked around at some of the comments around media and social media, and I'm just like, what are we doing here? Because people are rioting about him not playing, calling BS when the team says he's not ready. And then when he comes out, he shows he's not ready. People are surprised. They're like, well, what's going on? I mean, what is this? I mean, now he should be shut down because the guy who said he wasn't ready to come back before he was ready is not actually ready on the court. He's showing you that he's not. He's not in shape. His knee, maybe he's not up there. I think the only thing the Sixers and Joel are guilty of at this point, what people should complain about, is the honesty factor. And we've talked about this on shows over the last few weeks. There's obviously more to all this than what is being talked about. That's the one thing I and I think a lot of fans and media are perplexed about, and that's what they're not voicing as much, but that's what's coming out in their complaints. Now, it's all the secrecy. Then if they came out and said from the beginning, look, he came back after that surgery, he played in the playoffs, he wasn't right while he was trying to heal, he played in the Olympics, maybe a setback there, probably a setback there, and he just hasn't had enough time to heal up. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not, but it would give us more to just kind of sink our teeth into rather than like, nah, Olympics had nothing to do with it. It's fine. Nah, no setbacks. So there's clearly something, right? He's not totally himself. And I think to me, he looks like the thinnest he's been in a while. So I think he knows he doesn't want the extra weight on the knees, which is smart as he ages in general. I don't think, and I've seen him rusty a lot, and I've seen him coming back from a lot of injuries. I've seen him be out of shape. I haven't seen him call himself out of games and like huffing and puffing the way he was very often. So he knows, and that's part of it too, right? Like with that kind of exhaustion, I wouldn't automatically say it's a knee injury. I would also say he's got weak legs, probably, period. I mean, he's tired, and with that comes your legs are just run down and exhausted. They're not ready for that kind of up and down the floor movement. And with that comes slow reaction. It comes not wanting to take the extra steps. It comes from not wanting to running. It all goes into that. But he's never going to get in basketball shape if we hit the pause button every time he doesn't look like he's in basketball shape. Because then he'll never get back. Like you said, Eric, weeks ago, the only way you're going to get in basketball shape is by playing basketball, not by not playing it. So I think he's supposed to look this way to a certain degree after not playing full-speed basketball for a long time. He didn't look right in the Olympics, except for the modern-day dream team around him kind of covered up some of his efficiencies, right? Like, that's why we didn't see the full effect of how bad he looked at the time, because he had, these guys around him to soak it up. I'm not panicking yet, but if he looks this way in a month from now, my finger's definitely on the button.
Well, he went out in February last season, correct?
Yeah.
So that's 3 months from being a year.
Yeah.
So he's 3 months from being a year. He played in one round in the playoffs. He played, 5 or 6 games, 7 games in the Olympics. And he played one game this season. He doesn't look any different than he looked in the playoffs. I don't know how you can not have concern about that. I don't think that's all conditioning. It's been 3 months since he played a basketball game. He didn't play in the preseason. He played one game. That's not all conditioning. With conditioning, you can still react and go hard and do some of the things you couldn't do. You just can't do them for a certain amount of time like you used to. You would, if it was just conditioning, he would still be Joel, but he would tap out earlier.
That's a good point.
So he's not Joel he's not even able to do some of the things that he was doing before. He's not pump faking, driving, not dunking. He's not going to the hole and dunking them. He's not doing any of that.
Hardly even mid-range.
He hasn't done it at all. So he's not driving. I mean, he's not coming up on pick and rolls. He's not blocking shots. So, yeah, some of that is conditioning, but that's not all conditioning. Because like I said, if it was just conditioning, you could still do it. You just had to take more breaks.
You'd also see a glimpse of old Joel too,
Yes.
if it was conditioning. There's no glimpse at all.
So that's what leads me to think that I believe this injury could be more severe than they're leading us to think. A guy that had a career-ending injury and had injuries before then, had surgeries. My first major surgery didn't end my career, but it changed my career. There were things that I couldn't do as well when I had those 2 ankle surgeries. I could still play in the NBA, but I could dunk easily and do all that stuff and was faster, but it was harder for me to dunk and do all that stuff after I had my surgery. So that's why I said they're career changing. You may find that your game has to change. You may find that your minutes have to decrease or your style may have to change. So that's what I mean by career changing. This could be a career changing injury for Joel. But a guy with his talent and his size, he could still be just as effective. You've seen guys like, I'll even say MJ, even though MJ's wasn't a injury, it was just he got older. You didn't see him as he got older, drive to the basket as much. He was more of a mid-range shooter, but still very much effective. And that's what I'm saying. Like, it could be career changing. I don't want to say it's career ending, and I hope it isn't. But I do believe that this is an injury more than conditioning. So that being said, I think they need to take him out? I would say no right now after one game. But if we're talking about this a month or 2 from now, I don't know how it helps him to keep playing.
But he looked better in the New York series, which was closer to his surgery than he did in the Olympics and now. That's the weird thing.
Well, I mean, he also he was also closer to February, which means so he was closer to going through a season. He was more in the basketball season, whereas now you had 3 or 4 months off of not playing or no one not being around basketball to play, and then you have the same thing. You play and you don't do anything. So some of that he still was in the mode of playing basketball. And it was the playoffs where he wasn't really the same. Like, I don't think that he looked as much. I don't think he looked so much better in the playoffs than he did in this one game right here. But the difference is we had our full roster. He was in better shape then. So I would say the difference between the playoffs and this first game would be conditioning, not the injury, in my opinion.
Wasn't he just off like 2 months after surgery?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is the 2 months or whatever he's off from, you talking about from February to April, your conditioning is different than 3 to 4 months and you haven't played any basketball. So he played basketball. So his time from not playing basketball was shorter. So we're looking at from when he came back and played. But remember, he played some games before the playoffs, didn't he?
Played in one. No, he didn't. He played in a handful. He played 1, 2, 3.
That's what
4,
I'm saying.
5.
So he played in some games. So that break in between wasn't near as long. And that's not counting, as they say, the getting ready for it.
True,
as they call it, the ramp up. That's not even counting the ramp up period that he had. So it wasn't, the gap of not playing basketball wasn't near as big as it was in between the Olympics and the season. The
New York series, sure, but even the regular season, right when he came back, still looks, compared to the other day, it looks great. I'll take those stats: 30, 39, and 5, and a block and a half, and a steal and a half. I mean, compared to how he looked the other day, and like the amount of threes too, and comparatively to the rest of his, 3 of his 14 shots in one game was 3, 6 of his 25 shots for 3, 2 of his 13, 9 of his 22. That's a lot. 7 of his 23. That's a third. So he was just doing more. Again, that's why I said I'm not going to panic for like another month of this. After a month,
that's why I'm saying I think the difference between then and now is conditioning. I think that's the biggest difference is conditioning, but the fear of the injury and how he looks and doesn't look the same pre-February is still there. That still looks the same from the playoffs and end of the season playoffs to the Olympics and now. That part of it to me still looks the same. The conditioning is just better right now. I don't think he was in great shape in the Olympics either.
No, he wasn't. But let's just say New York Knicks series version of Joel is what he is after he gets a month of playing under his belt, right? Let's just say that's what he is, which is, I'll take it. But if you remember, a lot of people were saying we should shut him down then too because he wasn't looking right. Yeah. So if our goal is postseason only, and we don't really care about the regular season, then even if he is New York Knicks version of Joel, shouldn't we think about still shutting him down for like 3 months until the playoffs start?
But that's the tough thing with Joel is that we don't know what shutting him down will do. We don't know if shutting him down will have him better when he comes back, or will he be exactly the same or worse? That's the unknown about him. Because he's been shut down before and came back, and some guys you can shut down and then all of a sudden you're like, man, he's a monster when he come back. We don't know that.
Yeah.
He might be like, that's why I said it might be it's career ending, career changing. It could just be career changing. But I think that we'll give some answers or be able to answer that question better as these games that are coming along now start happening. That'll kind of give us some more answers. It'll let us kind of evaluate where he truly is, play some more games. And he hasn't played a road game. He hasn't been on the road. We'll know how that's going to look when he hasn't played, where he has to travel, come back. And so just kind of let the schedule play itself out, and we'll see.
I mean, look, New York Knicks Embiid was 33, 11, 6, and 1.5, 1.2. So if that's what we're getting, and he can scale back his minutes.
How many minutes did he play when he did that?
Playing a lot. He's playing. You average.
That's what I'm saying.
So, but that's what I'm saying. Also, with the roster we have.
So what I'm saying is, I think a lot of that, the difference in what you're saying is how he looked then versus how he looked now. I believe the biggest difference is conditioning. But what I'm saying is, I don't think the injury looks any different.
Yeah. So, I mean, we have a better team now than then. So he should be able to comfortably scale some of that back. And that's what I was saying all offseason. Like, he doesn't need to be doing all that stuff anymore. Like, he can scale back and we can be just as effective and good, and he's going to probably have to if we want to, like, have him all year and 5 more years. Scary thought.
Positive sign that he said that the whole back-to-back thing was a troll, so that's a positive sign. So that means he'll be playing at some back-to-backs, and based on our record right now, he might have to play a little bit more than just some back-to-backs.
Is he saying that because he means it, or is he saying that because he's gotten a lot of stuff in the media from Barclays and the Shaqs of the world about that?
Could be both ways. I think the backlash could have changed that tone, but we
just
don't know.
kidding.
Only they know. Only he know. Only they know.
Well, we'll know soon because we got a lot of back-to-backs.
But we'll find out, though.
Yeah.
The time will tell.